When the government came to me last week and said they wanted to put the over 75s onto the cost of the BBC, I went into very, very hard negotiations with the government to turn this into an opportunity. And what we've won are three things. And I think these things are really important for the future of the BBC. We've won a licence fee set to CPI inflation. And in the words of the Chancellor, that will happen, and his words are good enough for me. We've won an end to the top slicing of money which went to fund rural broadband, and we've also got a licence fee which is modernised. That means this organisation has financial stability going forward to be able to set the course we want for the future of the BBC. Those, to my mind, are really important wins for this organisation, really important wins for ensuring that we carry on being the creative organisation I believe in.
Let's talk about the money in a moment, but let's deal first with this curious position that the BBC now finds itself in, which is effectively a branch, and this is Ben Bradshaw saying it, the former Labour Culture Secretary, of course, a branch of the Department for Work and Pensions, and that is a serious undermining of the BBC's independence.
Well, we will and are the collectors of the licence fee at the moment. In that sense, I suppose the fact we have the relationship...
That's quite different. We are making effectively now a welfare out of the BBC's licence fee payers' money.
But the government's decision here to put the cost of the over 75s on us has been more than matched by the deal coming back for the BBC.
That isn't the point, is it?
It is the point, John.
People
because
pay
John,
a licence fee thinking that
if I may say so, it is the point, because when I was confronted with this policy a week ago, and we might want to talk about process later, my bottom line was, if I can use this as an opportunity to get back for the BBC things I think are really important for the BBC, an inflation-linked licence fee,
you've made those 3 points,
then I think that's really important, and that's exactly, John, what we've done.
It is the principle that matters here, and for the first time in its history, BBC licence payers will be making effectively welfare payments, and it's even worse than that, because in a few years' time, you'll be responsible, the BBC will be responsible for the policy of this payment, the policy underlining this payment. That's for elected politicians, not for the BBC.
Well, if you look at organisations in the arts, for example, they're in charge of their income, and they're in charge of concessions policy and what you pay for old age pensioners.
Again, the licence fee is a mandatory payment, but people have to pay it.
And we've got 5 years to sort that out. The key thing for me is what is in this for the BBC and give this organisation the stability it deserves. And this is a deal which is cash flat, which actually is front-loaded, so there's money to make the transition we need to the world, to make us to be able to compete in the world of Netflixes and iPads.
Right, but look, in the case of this, the over 75s, the BBC would be able to change the policy in 5 years' time, maybe increase it from 75 to 80 or some sort of cap or whatever. Would you want to do that?
Well, I think being in control of our income in all sorts of ways is a very grown-up response for the BBC and a grown-up response for any organisation. So you would be making
decisions that until now have been the responsibility of the elected government. Well, the BBC's not in that business.
It is the government's decision to give us this policy responsibility.
So we're an agent of government then?
In 5 years' time. And if you ask me, do I think it's right that an organisation like the BBC can, as it were, control the way in which its income is
Become an agent of government is what I'm asking you.
I think that's right. No. I think there are issues here which you're referring to, which I think you're right, which is I think there are issues to do with the independence of the BBC which should be examined in the Charter review process, which are to do with process and how these things happen. That's the government's decision to go on this sort of deal in this sort of time, not mine. My aim is to get the very best deal I can for the BBC and for the viewers and listeners of the BBC. Do I think the process should be looked at in the Charter Review to get a process where the viewers and listeners can have their say on setting the right rate for the licence fee and the shape of the BBC? Yes, I do, and I hope that comes out strongly in Charter Review. But you keep saying, yes, I do.
You see, the BBC is about more than you, isn't it? I mean, you're the Director General, you're the boss, but nonetheless, we have a trust, and the BBC Trust, was excluded from this process, and the chairman of the trust, Rona Fairhead, said we cannot endorse the process by which it has been reached.
Well, I've just said to you, I think the process should be looked at. This is the second time this has happened. No, this is the government's decision to come at it in this sort of way. What I'm saying is we should be looking at the Charter Review at a number of things: the governance of the BBC, the independence of the BBC, and also the process by which these things are done. Because I've got to think, when I'm making decisions about the future funding of the BBC, about the 46 million people who use this organisation, radio, television, online, every day, and what's in their interest. And I think we have a deal here, John, which is a strong deal for the BBC. It gives us financial stability and an ability now to plan for the future, I believe in, for this wonderful creative organisation.
And what may be in their best interest, and many people have suggested this, is a smaller BBC. After all, the Chancellor himself talked about the imperial ambitions of our internet operations.
The Chancellor,
and Rona Fairhead herself, again, has said there will have to be inevitably some impact on the nature of the BBC's services. We have to see a smaller BBC, don't we? In the end?
The Chancellor on Sunday on Andrew Marr said something which I profoundly believe in. He talked about the brilliance of this creative organisation. He talked about the fact we should be doing everything from informing and educating to entertaining, that things like Strictly Come Dancing really, really matter. What I'm interested in is this world-class gem of an organisation, which is the BBC, flourishes in the future. And I believe this deal is one which allows it to do that.
So you're happy to be thought of as the Emperor rather than the Director General, given that your imperial ambitions.
John, Emperor I am not. All I am is a person leading a brilliant creative organisation, which includes programmes like yours, which includes brilliant programmes on 7/7, a film on Sunday evening, and also includes Radio 3, which does the most amazing job broadcasting from the Wigmore Hall last night. We're a creative organisation. That's my interest in this.
Tony Hall, many thanks.
Thank you, John.